And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to make one of my favorite chicken dishes, and that is a sun-dried tomato and basil stuffed chicken breast. Then we're going to have some spinach croissants to go alongside, and then for dessert we are going to have a s'mores muffin. Kind of a dessert, could be breakfast, could be a snack. You get my meaning there. So we're going to have those for dessert. But we need to get started on the chicken. Now this needs to bake in an oven at 425 degrees. So the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven. Now I have here some boneless, skinless chicken breasts. And when you buy chicken breasts, typically they're larger, they're thicker, and we want them to be thin so we can stuff them and roll them. Now you can buy in some stores the thin cutlets, but they're very expensive and they're easy to do yourself. So what you want to do is have boneless, skinless chicken breasts. Lay them between a couple of sheets. A lot of people use plastic wrap. I prefer using either like parchment paper, which is what I'm using today, or a wax paper if you don't have any parchment paper. I just think it does a little bit better than the plastic wrap. But if you don't have any of this, you can use plastic wrap. And then the other thing, you're going to want to put it between two sheets. I'm using my plastic board because I don't put raw meat on my wooden cutting board. And then you need a meat mallet. Now, this is my favorite meat mallet, but some of them come, I don't have one here, but like the tool with the handle that you can pound. If you don't have one of these, then you can use a rolling pin or a skillet even, like a heavy cast iron skillet. But this is a very handy little tool. This part of the meat mallet of mine is extremely heavy. And you don't want, there's two sides. Let me just show you here. This one, if I can get it unscrewed, is a dual purpose one, and you can unscrew it like this. This side is more for tenderizing meat, and then the other side is flat, and it's for pounding, and that's what we're going to do today. So screw it on there tight, and then take it, and you want to kind of hit it in the center and then work your way out. You see how I'm kind of doing that, and I'm working my way out toward the edges. And I'm going to show you what it does. You see how it makes it fan out, and it also thins out the chicken breast. I want these to be around a ½ inch thick, and these are perfect. So we're going to take this. I've already got some done. And I'm going to lay it, well actually I'm just going to lay this one on my board because I'm getting ready to do it. Then you want to make the filling. Now for this, I have some basil. Fresh. This is the lightly dried basil that you can get in the produce section of the grocery store. This is not the stuff that you buy with the spice section. That, to me, has no flavor. If you cannot find the lightly dried, let me just show you the jar. This is what it looks like. And it's in the produce department where you get your herbs, your fresh herbs and spices. This is really good, and it smells like fresh basil. Or you can use fresh basil if you have some, or if your grocery store carries it. If you grow your own herb garden, then you probably have fresh basil, which is delicious in this dish. I'm going to add to that some sun-dried tomatoes. Now I prefer the ones packaged in oil. I just drained most of the oil off, but we're not going to waste what ends up in the bottom of our dish. Now, if you don't have any in the oil. If you just have the dried, sun-dried tomatoes that you need to reconstitute, that's fine. You just need to put those in a bowl and then add some boiling water over them and let them steep for probably about 10 or 15 minutes, and that rehydrates them. But I really do like the ones packed in oil. You want to mix that together. We're going to add some rosemary and some garlic. And a little bit of salt. And a little bit of pepper. And you're going to need a baking dish, and I just have put a little olive oil down in the bottom of that just to, help not stick. You don't want to put too much of this. You want just, a little bit, maybe a tablespoon or so. I've got, I think, 7 chicken breasts here, so I'm going to, kind of eyeball it. I want 7 equal parts. You want to spread that out with your fingers or with a knife or whatever you want to use. A little bit more. And then you're going to roll it up just like this. And you're going to put it seam side, and by seam side, this is where I'm talking, where the the very edge of the chicken rolls over. You're going to put that seam side down in the baking dish, and we're going to do the same thing with all of these. If you want to just line them all up on your board and get an assembly line kind of thing going, then that's fine too. That way you can really kind of measure out your ingredients a little better too. Just, stuff them on. Now, my sun-dried tomatoes are julienne cut. If yours are whole, you will need to cut them into smaller bite-sized pieces. But you can get the julienne cut tomatoes already ready to go. I find sun-dried tomatoes usually where they sell pasta sauce, like spaghetti sauce and the dried pastas, the Italian section, if you want to call it that, and then with the canned tomato products. I've found them in both places. So I've got 3 more here that we're going to get stuffed. I'm just going to stuff these. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to show you how to top these, and then we're going to get them in the oven. I'll be back in just a minute. All right, now our chicken is all rolled up and nestled in this baking dish. Remember the extra oil I said I had? We didn't want to waste that. I'm just going to pour that into this bowl. And what is in this bowl is olive oil and paprika. I'm going to add just a touch more oil. And that's all that's in here, and that extra oil from my sun-dried tomatoes. But if you don't have the sun-dried tomatoes, then don't worry about it. Here I have just 2 slices of whole wheat bread, fresh bread. Now I use whole wheat. If you don't have the whole wheat, you can use white bread. But that's pretty much all we eat at home is whole wheat sliced bread. And I'm not taking the crusts off. I'm putting it in my food processor, and I'm just going to make some fresh breadcrumbs. Just pulse it there for just a few seconds, just to kind of break that down. The reason I don't want to use the prepackaged up breadcrumbs is I want that fresh, softer texture, and the prepackaged up ones sometimes can just sort of taste stale, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to dump these into my bowl. My voice is crackling a little bit. You'll have to forgive me today. Now, I'm going to take this oil and paprika, and I'm going to brush this over the chicken breasts. This is a very elegant meal if you wanted to make this for a special occasion, but it's also easy enough that you can make it for any night of the week. You could totally make this ahead the night before, and then when you get home from work or wherever you are, preheat your oven and put this in the oven, and it would be delicious. The only thing I would wait on would be to do the next step just right before you're going to bake it. If you want to make it ahead, it's perfectly fine to do that. This just flavors the chicken, but it also adds some color. And then I'm going to take these fresh breadcrumbs and I'm going to sprinkle them over the chicken. And they will toast and become delicious. If you have extra breadcrumbs left over, and I think I probably will, one slice of bread probably would be enough for this. You can put these in a Ziploc baggie, put them in your freezer, and then you've got instant breadcrumbs. As a matter of fact, what you can do, and this is what I do at home, when I get like down to the ends of my loaf, nobody in my house likes the very end pieces, or if I have, leftover bread or whatever, I pulse it and then put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer instead of throwing it away. And that way you have instant fresh breadcrumbs because they thaw in just a second. And I'm going to just drizzle a little bit of extra virgin olive oil over top. Now I'm using olive oil because I like the flavor in this. If you don't have any olive oil, you could use canola or vegetable oil, but I like the flavor of the Italian or the olive oil on this. This needs to bake at 425 degrees for about 30 minutes. All right, now our chicken is baking and we're going to start on our muffins. I have here 1.5 cups of buttermilk. I'm going to add to that 1 egg, if I can get it out of there, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of lightly beat that in this little glass dish. Then I'm going to add that to the egg. These are my wet ingredients. Then I'm going to add 1/4 cup of a neutral oil such as canola or vegetable oil. Mix that all together and set that to the side. Now I've got my food processor here. I have 8 squares of graham crackers, and I'm just going to kind of break those a little bit into my food processor bowl with the metal blade, and then I'm going to pulse these into crumbs. Let's just turn that thing on. You can buy graham cracker crumbs in the store, but honestly, I think they taste stale. I'd rather just make them myself. You don't know how long those have been crushed up. And it just takes a second in the food processor. Pulse it and stop it. And that's good. I don't want them too crumbly. Just small pieces. Or if you don't have your food processor out, you can put them in a plastic bag, like a Ziploc baggie, and pound them. That works too. I have 1.5 cups of flour. I'm going to add my graham cracker crumbs to the flour. I'm going to add some dark brown sugar, a little tiny bit of salt because you need some salt, and some baking soda. I am going to mix that all together. Just get those. This is the flavors of s'mores. The graham crackers with the marshmallows and the chocolate all melted on them, but in a muffin form. Then I'm going to add about 1 cup of marshmallows, some chocolate chips, because you gotta have chocolate chips. I'm adding a lot of chocolate chips because I like chocolate chips. Those are just the mini ones, but you could use the bigger ones or chop up a chocolate bar. Then I'm going to kind of make a well in the middle, and I'm going to add my liquid ingredients. I've got a muffin tin here that I have sprayed with, I've lined with muffin liners because the marshmallow can be a little sticky. So I do advise you to line your muffin tins with just a little paper And then I sprayed the paper liners with the spray that's for baking. You want to stir this together. Don't overmix it. You just want to mix your batters till there's no dry, floury look to it. If you overmix, then you end up with a tough baked good. Same holds true with, you know, any muffin recipe or pancakes and that kind of thing, waffles. If you overmix, it's tough. So if you have tough muffins or pancakes, that's your problem. You're overmixing. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to fill I like a little measuring spoon for this. I want to fill them about 3/4 of the way full. And the reason I use the little measuring spoon is that way I know each one has about the same amount. So they bake equal and at the same time. And it really does make a difference. And then, I've got to take a quick break here, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take some more marshmallows and just put them on the top. And that's it. Then we're going to bake them at 375 degrees for about 18 to 20 minutes. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm just going to fill this up, and when I come back, we're going to start on our spinach croissants. I'll be back in just a minute. All right, now we are ready to make the side dish, which you could totally do this as like an appetizer or for brunch or anything like that. But we're going to make spinach croissants, and they are so good and so easy. We have our food processor, which we've used a lot today. I've got some sliced almonds. I have a little bit of onion. I've got about 1/4 cup of onion, and I'm just gonna cut it up into little smaller pieces. You don't need to chop it because the food processor is gonna do that for you. Then we're gonna put that in our food processor, and we're going to chop this until it's all very, very fine. Doesn't take but just a minute. When I get it almost to the point that I want it, I'm going to stop because I'm going to add some salt and pepper. 1 box of frozen chopped spinach that has been thawed, and what I do is I put this in a towel and wring out the excess water, and we're going to add that to the food processor. What we're doing is we're making our filling mixture all in this bowl. We're going to add a little oil. This is olive oil. And I'm going to add some freshly grated Parmesan cheese and a little bit of nutmeg because the spinach needs a touch of nutmeg. It just adds that something to spinach or greens of any kind. About 1/4 teaspoon or so. And then put your lid back on and pulse this till it's all mixed. Put it on low first. You might need to add a touch of olive oil, not too much, but if you need to add a little more, you can. Okay, now I think that's good. Smells delicious. Because I don't want to cut my fingers, I'm going to put this mixture in another bowl here and make sure that all those almonds, because sometimes where they get a little damp from the oil and the moisture from the onion, they will stick to the bottom. So we're just going to stir that up. And that's your filling. And then we're going to take a small spoon, we're going to put just a little bit of this filling. This is just 1 can of crescent or croissant dough, however you want to say it. And I'm going to put just a little bit. Don't overfill, and keep it a little bit away from the edges, maybe a 1/4 of an inch away from your edge. And then roll it up and place it on a lined baking sheet. Get your oven preheated to 425 degrees. And again, this is a dish that you could make ahead and put it in the refrigerator if you wanted to, and then bake it off right before your guests arrive. This filling, if you like the Greek dish, Spinach, then you will love this dish because it's based on the spinach, although the ingredients are a little bit different. But if you like the Spinach, you will really like this. You could make this into a pie if you wanted to. Get the like the pie dough that you can buy in the dairy department, or make your own if you want to, and put this filling in like a round pie plate, and then top it with your dough and bake it. You could do it that way too if you wanted to, or you could use phyllo dough, or you could use puff pastry. This filling makes enough to do two packages of the crescent dough or the croissant dough, however you want to say it. And then we're going to roll them up, and we're going to bake them for about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, until they're golden brown and done. All right, now all our food is done, and let's start with the chicken. This is what it looks like, and you've got in your pan, the juices and all that have made a wonderful little sauce. The way I like to serve it is I take one out and I cut it on the diagonal because that just makes it look pretty. And look inside there at what you get. You get this beautiful chicken breast that's rolled with that filling in there, and oh, it smells so good. So you can just place that on your serving dish there. And our little spinach croissants, they are done. This is what they look like. The only thing I did was I decided at the last minute before I put them in the oven just to sprinkle a little extra Parmesan cheese on top. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but it just adds that extra flavor. And honestly, I love the cheese when it gets caramelized and just delicious. Now, I would, and I'm going to, take some of the sauce that your chicken created as it baked and just spoon a little bit of this. This is not the right utensil for that, so let me get a spoon and just spoon a little bit of that sauce that's full of the delicious flavors inside your chicken over your chicken. And there you go. You want to serve that maybe with a green salad, or something, maybe some roasted carrots or glazed carrots or something like that on the side. Or you could serve this as an appetizer and have some roasted asparagus or baked potatoes, whatever you wanted. But here is your wonderful sun-dried tomato stuffed chicken breast, our delicious spinach croissants, and we cannot forget our wonderful little muffins. And I'll tell you, these are the little s'mores muffins. What happens when you bake these is they puff up like crazy, and you're like, oh, they're going to spill over. But then that just sort of melts back down in there. And the brown sugar, remember we put some dark brown sugar in there? It kind of caramelizes and forms this little crust on it that is absolutely delicious. These are wonderful warm, but they are better when you let them cool. So if you let them cool for like 30 minutes, they are fabulous. And the longer they sit, the better they are, as is the case with most baked goods. So there is your delicious little s'mores muffins, which, by the way, would make an excellent after-school snack for your kids. So that's something to think ahead on and make those and have them ready for when they come home from school, or a snack for yourself. I make those and put them in the boys' lunch boxes as their little treat at school, because my kids pack their lunch every day. And then your wonderful little main dish, which is our chicken and our delicious spinach croissants. Try these recipes. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time on Everyday Manna.
Thank you for watching Everyday Manna with Lisa. This program is made possible by viewers like you. Your support is continually needed to keep Christian programming on the air. Please send your best financial gift to Living Faith Television in care of Everyday Manna, P.O. Box 1867, Abingdon, Virginia 24212.